You're listening to West Fourth and Goal, presented by Old Carolina Barbecue Company, a podcast for high school sports fans in North Central Ohio. I'm your host, Kurt Conrad, and with me, as always, is producer Noah Jones.
Hey, hey.
We're coming to you from the IdeaWorks podcast studio on West 4th Street in downtown Mansfield. Co-host Effie James had a previous engagement this evening, and he'll rejoin us again next week. For anyone who knows Effie, and Noah, you certainly do, he's a man of many hats. It's not surprising that he's got a lot of irons in the fire, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I saw him out in public,
right.
And man, everyone in town knows that guy.
Everyone knows Coach
and
James.
Everyone wants to have him at everything.
Yeah, he's actually giving a presentation down in Grandview Heights High School in Columbus tonight, so he plans to rejoin us next week. In his absence, though, Noah, you're gonna come out from behind your...
I'm going to do my best.
You're going to jump out and be more active. Noah, last time we talked, you mentioned you had an expanded role with the Ohio Podcast Network. And I think there's some more big news coming out of there. I mean, what's happening?
Well, first of all, since you have called me the Grand Poobah, the president has decided to start calling me Grand Poobah. So I get to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But actually, yeah, we've got some pretty cool stuff that's being worked on. I think we're going to be hosting, we as in the Richland Source IdeaWorks building is going to be hosting the first Ohio-based podcast conference, which is really exciting. So anyone who listens to this podcast who's into podcasting or is already operating a podcast, definitely follow along with that. Follow me on Twitter at Nojo15 or the West Fourth and Goal Twitter to sort of keep in touch with us about how that's going, and eventually we'll start marketing the actual event. I believe it's going to be on July 18th, which is a Saturday.
Mansfield is quietly becoming the mecca of podcasting here.
Yeah, just you and me.
Well, I'm looking forward to introducing our guest, but before we dive into that, let's take a moment to thank our title sponsor, Old Carolina Barbecue Company.
Old Carolina Barbecue is authentic barbecue inspired by the Great Carolinas. Head over for your Sunday meal and have all-you-can-eat barbecue at 2035 4th Street in Ontario, Ohio, and you'll be sure to agree that it's the best barbecue in town.
While we're at it, I'd like to thank Andy McIntyre and his staff at Two Cousins Pizza for their continued support of the show. Two Cousins is the official pizza of West Fourth and Goal. No matter what you're hungry for, from pizza and subs to salads and apps, Andy and his crew have something for you. You can check out the daily specials on the website, twocousinspizzaco.com, or stop by the shop at 103 North Main Street in downtown Mansfield. Two Cousins Pizza, it's the official pizza of West Fourth and Goal. And one more thing before we get started. Noah, tell the people how they can get their hands on some free money.
Kurt, I'm so glad you asked. Several people, including you and myself, have created this quick survey that we hope all of the listeners will take. It's going to help us focus on what we can do better according to the readers, and they'll get to answer questions like what we've done well and what we need to work on and stuff like that. And at the end of it, they get $500. Well, they get a chance to win $500. We don't have that much money on us to win $500 Visa prepaid gift card that basically acts as a debit card until you run out of money, which is really awesome. Go ahead to richlandsource.com and take it right now while you listen to the podcast.
Now we're about halfway through the boys basketball season, and we're starting to get a feel for which local teams are going to have a chance to go deep into the postseason. I think the Lucas Cubs jumped directly to mind. A lot of people are talking about the Cubs. They're 12-0. They're ranked 4th in the state in Division 4. That's a team that is very reliant on a lot of football players who played on the biggest stage this past fall. Another team that maybe not as many people are talking about is the Shelby Whippets, who have quietly put together an 11-1 start. They're 2 games ahead of Ontario in the Mid-Ohio Athletic Conference standings, and we are thrilled to death to be joined in the IdeaWorks podcast studio by Shelby's leading scorer and rebounder. It's TJ Pugh, who's averaging about 22 points and 9 boards a game. And TJ, thanks for coming down and joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, before we go any further, I think that our listeners are just dying to know what's TJ stand for.
Timothy James.
Now, Noah, I don't know if you noticed or not, but we don't ask you to cover games very often anymore here. But there's kind of an alarming trend among high school basketball players, and I wanted to get TJ's thoughts on it. I played basketball in the late 80s and early 90s, and that was kind of in the transition between the short shorts to the baggy shorts.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, and we fought hard to get those baggy shorts, and we have the Fab Five at Michigan with Chris Webber and Juwan Howard and those guys to thank, and a lot of other guys that people who listen to our podcast probably don't know who those guys are. Nonetheless, they were kind of the trailblazers when it comes to the baggy shorts. Now, TJ, you're a guy. I mean, where do you stand on the shorts? Do you like them short, or do you like them rolled up, or down at your knees? What do you like?
I think in style nowadays is a short shorts, so that's what kind of I wear. So
you just got to flex the hammies, man. That's what it's all about.
You, and it's funny because when we played, they were still kind of that short style, but we would kind of tug them down and have them as low as we could so that they would get down to our knees. And now guys are playing with them mid-thigh, and I don't know what to think of it. It's kind of a strange look.
It's coming back.
Absolutely. So you played your freshman year of high school basketball at Seneca East, and then you came over to Shelby. Just talk to us about how that came about. I mean, you didn't have to sit out, so I would imagine you guys moved from Attica to Shelby. But talk to us about that and how was it a tough transition for you?
For sure, every transition from any kid transferring schools in high school is hard. So, especially freshman year, leaving all my friends that I kind of grew up with.
Sure.
So, I don't know. We found a house out in Shelby that was kind of bigger than ours that fit our family better.
Right.
So we moved over and I came to Shelby, got along with some kids, and now we're rolling.
Do you have a big family? Do you have a lot of brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got 5 siblings.
Oh, well, how about that? Are you where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the second oldest. So.
Okay. Are there some other basketball playing Pughs coming?
Yeah. Yep.
Are they younger brothers or younger sisters or both? Or
both?
Okay, right on. So you moved to a new school. The transition is probably pretty good. I mean, do you feel like you fit in immediately, or was there kind of a feeling out period where you were trying to figure it all out?
When I first got here, I was kind of like, all right, just got to feel these guys out for who they are and where do I fit in. So, yeah, I found my group of friends, and usually it's just like who you hang out with is what you do with. Like, so all the basketball guys, we're all buddies, and we all get along well.
Right. Now, the first time I saw you play, it was last year. It was pretty early in the season. I think you scored 22 against Ontario. That was a game that was noteworthy, I think, because of what happened. Not necessarily you, but Hunter Hoffman, who was a senior on that team, hurt his knee. Eventually it ended up costing. I mean, he tried to come back a couple different times, but it eventually ended up costing him his entire season and his baseball season. He's a college baseball player now. Nonetheless, I mean, how big of a blow was that to you guys last year, losing him? Because I mean, not just physically, but it seemed like he was a pretty good leader too.
Right, he was our main leader starting off the year, and when we lost Hunter, we were just like, what do we do now? Because he spread the floor out. He was tall. He could rebound. He could shoot. So we were just kind of like, we got to fill the spot that he left us and keep playing.
Right. Now you guys finished 12-12 last year overall. I think you won a sectional championship maybe, or won a tournament game, maybe lost in the sectional final 7-10. I mean, it was very much a 500 season for you guys. I mean, When you look back on that, was that a disappointment, or was that about what you expected? Or I mean, what are your thoughts on last year?
I think it was definitely a disappointment for all of us guys because we had a ton of talent on that team. We lost Hunter. We kind of lost a big leader and just kind of went downhill from there. If we would have had Hunter, I believe that we could have went deep in the tournament.
Right. And you played last year with a guy who was one of the better three sport athletes in the area, and Uriah Schwemley. He was a guest on the podcast, Noah, last winter. I don't know if you remember or not.
Of course I remember.
He was probably a leading candidate to be the Richland Bank Athlete of the Year if it weren't for a guy named Cade Stover down in Lexington.
Right.
No shame in losing to that guy. Nonetheless, I mean, he was a state high jump champ. He's playing football at Findlay University. I mean, what did you take away with your one season with him? It seemed like he was a pretty good guy to have kind of leading the way there.
Yeah, Uriah was cool. He led us just like Hunter did, and he was really athletic. I mean, he could get to the rim. Uriah was cool. I mean, it was good having him on our team because he could facilitate too. He could get to the rack and get a bucket when we needed it, and he could facilitate at the same time.
Right. Not only did you play with Uriah, you played for his father. Troy Schwemley was the head basketball coach at Shelby for a lot of years. A very successful guy. I think he was 184 and 112 in 13 seasons at Shelby. He won a couple of conference championships when Shelby was still in the Northern Ohio League. I think he was district runner-up one year to Madison. Just playing for a guy like that who was very good at what he did. What did you learn from him, and are those some lessons you can carry forward here?
Yeah, for sure. Troy kind of taught us like different things about basketball. Like, I'm a big AAU guy,
right?
And he taught me kind of like more stuff about high school basketball, like more about the slow pace half court game. AAU is all about like full court running. He kind of taught us more about that half court slow, how to beat a defense down slowly, kind of.
What do you prefer? I mean, do you like the up and down and less structure, I guess, that comes with summer basketball?
Yeah, that's me. I like running up and down and playing fast.
Now, I think Troy stepped down in April. About a month later, Nathan Loney was hired. He came over from Ridgedale. How has the transition to a new coach been? I mean, for you, in just a couple of years, there's been a lot of transition for you coming from a different school, and now you're playing for your second coach here at Shelby.
Yeah, we like him. He came in and kind of just told us, it's my first year here. All I expect is respect from you guys, and I'll respect you guys. So we kind of bonded with him because he's kind of younger, so he kind of gets us a little more. So
right.
we respect him, and he shows us the way.
Are there big differences in coaching style, I guess, between he and Troy?
Definitely. Troy showed us, like I said, like the half-court game, and our coach now, he kind of likes to play faster, which last year we had a lot more height, so we could beat teams by being bigger than them. But this year we're a little smaller, so we like to run in transition.
Right. I think coming into this year, a lot of people probably expected you guys to be pretty good. I mean, given what you had coming back. Is it hard to deal with expectations that come with that? I mean, it seems to me like, 17, 18-year-old high school kids, when you start telling them how good they're going to be, there's a lot to deal with there.
Right. Some kids let it get to them. I try to ignore it because I play a lot of basketball all year, so it's kind of like, okay, I just got to go out here and do my job again, like every night, and just put on the same show.
Right. Now, you guys open the year with a win over Madison, Shelby's been playing Madison to start the season for as long as I've been around here, and that's an awful long time at this point. Then the following week, you went to Ontario and won pretty comfortably, and Ontario is obviously an area power, and there's a guy on the bench over there who's going to go to the Coaches Association Hall of Fame just as soon as he is eligible. Joe Baylog is one of the best in the state. I mean, to go to their place and to win pretty comfortably, I guess. I mean, does that do a lot for you guys in terms of confidence?
Oh, yeah, that boosts our confidence a lot because all we heard was Ontario's picked to win it, Ontario's this, Ontario's that. So we're just like, we got it in our back of our minds, we got nothing to lose. We're coming in here as an underdog, so we're just going to play our hearts out and hope we win. And
that win was part of, 6 straight to open the season. You guys get off to a 6-0 start. Upper Sandusky comes to your place on a Saturday night, I think, between Christmas and New Year's, and they beat you by 10. They beat you pretty comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what lessons do you learn on a night like that?
Well, we learned that they're obviously a respectable team. They're a good team.
Right.
They're in our district, so we'll probably see them again. I hope to see them again. I mean, we just kind of got humbled a little bit. Like, all right, we can be beaten, so we just got to keep working hard every night.
Right. Now, since then, you guys have won 5 straight, and that stretch included a pretty wild game, win over Ontario at your place about, a couple weeks ago now. Yeah. I think you were behind by 19 in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And normally against a team like that with Joe Baylog on the bench, it's pack it up and better luck next time. But I mean, how are you able to get back into a game on a night like that?
Well, when any team's down by 20, you guys got to come together and just say, look here, we're down by 20. I mean, we just got to play our hearts out for – I think we were down by 19 end of the third quarter.
Midway through the third, yeah.
So we were just like, guys, we got nothing to lose. We're down by 20, so we got to pick it up. I mean, it all just played out right for us.
Right. What do you learn about yourself on a night like that? I mean, what lessons are there to be learned from a night like that?
I think as a team, we learned that when it's in times of difficulty, we know how to step up and play our game. So.
Now, on the final play, I think you took and missed a shot, and Grant Hyatt, who was listed at 5'8", he somehow comes down with an offensive rebound and sticks in a reverse layup as time expired. I mean, what's that tell you about his heart, a guy that size going in there and mixing it up with the big boys?
Well, I think the whole team trusted me with the shot, and they were just saying, okay, I mean, he's going to shoot it, so I'm going to go get that rebound if it misses, and I'm going to try to put it up. I think that's what he did. And
I think that says something, a broader conversation about it. I mean, are you comfortable taking that last shot? You'd like to be that guy?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Is that something that has to be sort of like earned since you get on the basketball team as a transfer?
I think so, yeah. It's my second year, so I think everybody on my team respects me as a good player.
Gotcha.
Was it designed for you, or did you just take it and go?
No, it was designed for me.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, good. We still got a lot to get to with Shelby's TJ Pugh, but let's take a quick commercial break. You're listening to West 4th and Goal, presented by Old Carolina Barbecue Company.
Old Carolina Barbecue has recently installed a new drive-thru at their 2035 4th Street location in Ontario, Ohio. Go ahead and grab some authentic barbecue inspired by the Great Carolinas and use the drive-thru. Old Carolina Barbecue, where the best barbecue in town is slow smoked with quick service.
Welcome back to West 4th and Goal, presented by Old Carolina Barbecue Company. I'm Kurt Conrad, and I'm here with producer Noah Jones, and we're joined in studio by Shelby's TJ Pugh. Now, TJ, I was going through our archive system here, and I noticed that last season, you wore number 30. I think you're wearing number 5 this year. Saw some AAU footage of you. You were wearing 0. I mean, what, I guess, precipitated the jersey change? Is there anything to it?
Not really.
Right.
0's usually been my number throughout my life in AAU because, I don't know, I looked up D'Angelo Russell when I was a little younger.
Right.
So, I mean, the numbers aren't really a big deal. I like Steph Curry, too, so I was a transfer, so I was kind of like, all right, I'm just going to take whatever.
Take whatever's available.
All right, take whatever. And I was a sophomore, so I was like, I'm just going to take whatever number I get. But this year I had a better chance. I like the single-digit number better, so I just took 5.
No, any athletes at any level can be pretty superstitious. I mean, it's kind of unusual to see a guy who's like,
Don't
whatever.
I know it? Yeah, I used to wear the baseball number 13 for a while, and then one year I signed up for the Catholic League, and I had to wear 27, and it just wasn't the same.
Right? It can throw you off. It can throw you off entirely. And athletes are so, I mean, they're so like they're creatures of habit. I mean, then they can begin to think that, I'm not playing well because I had to change. I had to switch numbers.
Yeah.
Now you guys are 11-1. I think you're 8-0 in the MOAC, and you got a 2-game lead over Ontario. I think with 4 conference games to play. You're in a pretty good spot there. Is it hard to not to get too comfortable, I guess, when you're sitting where you're sitting?
That's kind of our words, though, not to be complacent,
right?
And not to get comfortable with being up 2 games. We want to finish out the season without any more losses, 21-1. I mean, when tournament comes, we just want to be at our peak level.
Right. You guys play a Marion Harding team tomorrow night at your place, and I think the Presidents have been maybe a little bit of a surprise. I mean, they are 7-6 overall. They're 5-3 in the conference. I think it was a 10-point game the first time you played them. I mean, what did you do well that night, and without giving away too much of the game plan? What do you have to do to kind of slow them down?
Oh, they were kind of like a half-court, slower type game, so we just need to speed them up because that's our type of game. But they kind of surprised me a little bit because I know they have athletes, but I didn't know they had basketball players to even play. So 5-3 in the league kind of surprised me a little bit.
Right. And Shelby, I mean, it was probably before your time, but I mean, they've been in a couple of different conferences. I mean, they were in the Northern Ohio League for a lot of years, and the Sandusky Bay Conference was just a brief time. Now the MOAC. I mean, is this a good fit, do you feel like, conference-wise for you guys?
I feel like it's a pretty competitive conference because a lot of basketball teams in this conference are pretty decent, like Clear Fork.
Right.
I mean, it's a pretty good basketball conference.
Right. Now, this is the time of year that, I mean, it's, late January. There's still a month of regular season games to go. And then, I mean, the postseason seems like it is so far down the road. It's not, but it seems like it at this point. I mean, I always kind of call this time of the year the grind. I mean, is it tough to embrace the grind, I guess, right now and play these games? I mean, bigger things are coming, but you gotta finish this part first.
Yeah, it's kind of that point in the year, like at the beginning you got all that adrenaline because you're like, okay, it's basketball season, let's go. And now it's kind of like the middle, and you're like, all right, we got to keep our adrenaline going. We got to keep our our intensity, because right now in the season, some teams are like, all right, I'm kind of tired of this.
Right.
I just want to play playoffs now. But, I mean, we just got to stay strong throughout the year.
Does that start, I guess, in practice? I mean, is it pretty competitive in practice for you guys?
Yeah. It all starts in practice for us. We win the championships into practice, and then we just go to the games and do what we're taught.
Right. I would imagine it's not going to be too hard to find some motivation for a game next week. You guys play Willard.
Right.
They are a state-ranked team in Division III. I think they're 12-1. They're a 2-point overtime loss from being undefeated. Shelby and Willard go back a long, long ways. I mean, there's a big rivalry. I would imagine that's one you kind of had circled for a while here.
For sure, because Willard's definitely, I know, a rival of Shelby's, so I just kind of played in that too. I'm like, all right, we hate Willard, so I'm going to hate Willard too. In a perfect world, you'd approach every game the same way, but are there some that maybe you have a little bit more? Definitely. You look at Willard, you're like, all right, we got to really play our hearts out tonight.
Now, like we said, the Division II postseason isn't too far away. I guess it'll be here before you know it. You play in the Madison district, and that field includes Upper Sandusky, the team that beat you. I mean, since then, again, you probably don't want to. You don't want to look too far down the road, but that seems to me like, hey, maybe we can get another shot at those guys.
Oh, definitely. After that game, I was like, all right, they're in our district, so hopefully we'll get another shot at them.
Right. Now, you're a guy, you're only a junior. you got another season of high school basketball, but we mentioned it earlier. You're a big AAU guy.
Mm-hmm.
How important, I guess, is that experience for you? It seems to me like a lot of emphasis and a lot of college coaches see you on the AAU circuit more than they do at the high school level.
Yeah, I feel like the AAU circuit's really important nowadays. It's kind of coming more popular than high school basketball as time goes on because these college coaches have more time during the summer to come watch you play, and you have all these coaches lined up at the side of a tournament watching you guys play. So it's a lot more exposure in one game than sometimes you get the whole season, because if you're not doing crazy well during your season, it's kind of hard for college coaches to see you at all.
Right. And I would imagine there's so many different levels of AAU. There's a fine line between getting the exposure and then maybe getting exposed if you're playing at a level that maybe you shouldn't be playing at. I mean, I would imagine it's got to be kind of stressful for you guys at that level.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it though, because like you travel to big places and you play big teams, and just it all makes you better.
Right. And you're obviously a guy, you're a guy who could potentially play at the next level, and I'm sure that is something, well, I don't know, is it something that you'd like to do? Is it something you thought about?
Yeah, definitely.
Right on. Well, before then, I think that, you got a lot of high school basketball to play here. What are your goals, I guess, going forward here for this season and for next year, and then maybe beyond?
Well, looking at the rest of the season, I obviously want to finish out undefeated, 21-1. Not looking to take no more L's.
Right.
State, we want to go. I mean, our motto all year is Columbus. Why not us? You know, like Shelby hasn't been to state, I don't think, ever, and they haven't won a district since 1999. So why not our team? We got the hard work and skill, I guess, to make it there. So why not us? Right.
And we talked a little bit about it briefly before we came on. I mean, obviously the football program is rolling, and the baseball team played in a regional tournament, I think, last year. I mean, does success on the football field and on the baseball diamond, because, I mean, there are a few guys who play all the sports. I mean, does that success kind of translate? I mean, do you guys just expect to win because everyone else is being successful?
Yeah, our girls team's good too. So
absolutely.
I guess if we can get the MOAC championship in football, girls basketball, and boys basketball, I mean, that's pretty good.
That's a clean sweep.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to put a bow on this week's episode of West 4th and Goal. We'd like to thank Shelby's TJ Pugh for carving out some time and coming down to join us. On behalf of Noah Jones and the absent Effie James, I'm Kurt Conrad, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening.